Photographers are really the worst packers ever. When I'm getting ready for a trip, I fill an entire suitcase full of what-if scenarios, and it becomes overwhelming. So for this upcoming trip, I gave myself a limitation. Only bring what fits in a 3-liter Peak Design sling. But the silly thing is, since I'm obsessed with tiny cameras, I actually ended up packing a full-frame mirrorless camera, a film SLR, 2 lenses, a tripod, and all the other accessories that you need for this, all in a tiny 3-liter sling. The reason I was able to fit all this is because I chose cameras that trade size and weight for some of the convenience factors you would expect. So that's what made it possible to pack all of that in here. The first one is the Sigma FP, and this is just tiny, impractical as hell, but incredibly powerful at the same time. It's basically the noisy cricket from Men in Black. And for the film camera, I have another underdog, the Olympus Pen FT. And a lot of people write off this camera because it's half-frame. In fact, it's the only SLR ever made for the half-frame format. But after using it for 2 years, I just have to say that this thing blows my mind constantly due to one thing, the lenses. These tiny little half-frame lenses have no right being as good as they are. They're tiny, sharp, full of character, and built like tanks. So the 2 lenses that I pack are the 38mm f1.8, which was the kit lens for the Olympus Pen series, and the 70mm f2 as the telephoto option. Both lenses are excellent in their own ways, and I made a whole video talking about the best standard length, around 50mm focal length lenses for the Pen F system, if you want to check it out. I'm also going to make another review on this 70mm coming up when I compare all of the different telephoto options for the Olympus Pen series. But where these lenses really start getting interesting is actually how much they cover on the full frame side of it. Granted, they are only designed to cover about an APS-C size image circle, but I've found that they're much more flexible than that, if you're willing to put up with some concessions. For instance, the 70mm is designed as really a 105 equivalent on full frame, but at 70mm, it actually covers the entire image circle on full frame. You can barely even notice there may be a little bit of image softness and maybe a minor vignette on the corners, but out of all of the lenses I've looked at, this one performs exceptional at 70mm. And the 38mm needs about a 1.1 or 1.2x crop. So effectively I'm getting a 40 to 43mm full frame equivalent when I crop in to get rid of the vignetting. But since there is a built-in crop feature on the Sigma FP that goes into 1.5, what this means is I actually get 4 different focal lengths with this setup, because I can use the 38mm or use that as 1.5x crop, so 55mm, and then I can use the 70mm as a full frame, or I can crop in and get it at 105. So with these 2 tiny lenses, I have essentially the range from 40mm all the way to 105mm. So with that kit, I'm pretty much settled. I don't like to shoot anything really wider than 40 or 35mm-ish, and I like having the reach up past a standard 24 to 70, even past 85. I really like 105 as a compression lens, a lens that really compresses the foreground and background into a single plane, adds some really cool results. So that's the reason my kind of sweet spot is from the 40mm to the 105mm range. So this is how it all packs into my sling. Everything that I pack in the 6-liter travel kit. And starting with the Sigma FP, I just attach the 40mm lens on there so that I can pull it out for any quick shots. Put that in just like that. Next, I put in the Pen FT, just vertically like that. And then the 70mm goes in vertically as well. It's a little bit longer of a lens, so I can't keep it attached to the camera. Then next I put in all the accessories. So a spare battery for the FP. I don't need a charger because it has USB-C charging, so I just use that. Microfiber lens cloth. A little light meter from Reflex Lab, so I don't have to use my phone every time I want to take a meter. This little USB-C SD card reader, which has USB-A and USB-C. So sometimes I just put the photos or videos right on my phone and upload them right away to not have to wait. Then a spare roll of film as well. This is the Manfrotto Pixie Mini, and it's just barely small enough. I have to actually bend the ball head down to this position just to fit it in. One thing I forgot here is the shutter release cable. Just a tiny little shutter release cable for long exposures to not bump the film camera. And also a spare body and rear end lens cap for the Pen F, just because when you're swapping between two cameras, two lenses, you're gonna end up eventually needing one of these. That goes in the side pouch here. This is kind of problematic. I wish there was a flatter version of a rocket blower, but I'll kind of just cram this in next to the FP. And that fits okay. And then usually I'll have this attached to one of the cameras. This is the camera leash by Peak Design. But if it's not, I'll put it in the upper part of this front pocket here. And that's pretty much it, all packed out. It's about five pounds and some change, so not terrible to carry. Keeping in mind how much stuff is just crammed in this thing, I think that's pretty good. And with just this kit, I'm pretty happy to get all of my photography done for personal trips. Of course, if there's a very specific need for a trip, or if I'm working on for a gig, then of course I'll change what I'm bringing. But for personal trips and just enjoying travel leisurely, this is perfect setup for me. The only things that I would change is it would be nice if I had a little bit more higher res sensor, a little bit more megapixels to crop in. So for that reason, the FPL is actually an enticing side grade, where I get the 61 megapixel sensor instead of the 26 or whatever megapixel one the FP has. However, that still doesn't really solve it, because I really do miss a built-in EVF and mechanical shutter. So for that reason, I'm also considering the Fuji X-E5 or the A7CR, because both of those are a little bit higher megapixel count, and they have basically all the more convenience factors built in, like a good EVF and a mechanical shutter. And if you're interested to see how I kitted out the Sigma FP for street photography stuff, check out this video.